So we're going to be going through this case study of Abbey Lane Counseling more in depth. If you prefer, you can just read the PDF. But in this video, I'm going to take some more time. Maybe you prefer listening, but also go a bit more in depth than you see in this PDF. So you'll really get a deeper understanding of what I did. Okay, so just to start, she is the therapist of Abbey Lane Counseling. She Googled web designer Oakville. And because I know how to do SEO, I came up, she landed on my site. And because I know how to convert people from traffic to clients, she then reached out to me and was a client. So a little beautiful case study in itself there. But my first priority was figuring out what our highest ROI activities were going to be, the low hanging fruit. In phase one, understanding her business, especially her ideal clients. So in this strategy call, we figured out what are her goals. And that's actually more difficult than you might expect because every business has a different bottleneck. So when I say different goals, I'm not talking about winning the lottery or just, the vague goal of I want more money or I want more clients. Every business has bottlenecks from maybe it's low traffic, maybe it's you have traffic but low leads, maybe you have leads but those leads aren't becoming paid clients. Or maybe you're getting clients, but they're not recurring. Or maybe they're clients and you don't have a recurring business, but then those clients, maybe you're not fulfilling a good enough job, so you're not getting like referrals from them. There's a lot of things throughout this whole funnel. So I always figure out, okay, where is the bottleneck? Because literally every business has bottlenecks. No matter the size, no matter how successful, there's always something that's lagging. Hopefully it's something I can help with. If not, then I refer them out to someone that can help them with that bottleneck. And next was her target audience, because most businesses, including hers, she's very skilled and she can help a wide variety of people, couples, individuals, families, but you can't really create a targeted campaign around that. Like we do therapy does not work. We do financial advisory, we do insurance, stuff like that does not work unless you're a massive brand with, $1 million a month to spend on ad budget and you can be everywhere. So that's why you see these massive brands. But as a small business, you have to do the opposite of what they're doing because you can't compete with them on their game. So you have to get very niche. That's one of the biggest mistakes I see with people starting out sort of simple marketing funnel is they try and do it like the big players like Coca-Cola. Like, brand awareness ads. So in this case, we figured out her ideal client is couples, and that allowed us to align everything, the offer on the website, the content we build around it, like the ads themselves just became 10 times easier because we're speaking directly to one demographic. And then the strategy focused around a better and more simply designed homepage, focusing on that, less on other pages that likely weren't going to get much traffic. 99% of the traffic would be on the landing page, which is point two, revamping the couples counseling page to serve as the primary landing page, and the homepage. That's 99% of traffic. We don't need to waste her money revamping the whole site. Driving traffic through targeted ads, building supporting assets. I call them sales assets, and it's something I'll talk much more about a bit later. And then ensuring she was much more Googleable. And then the last thing in phase one was the metapixel, and that's something I actually do for free for potential clients. Like we get on that initial Zoom call to see if it makes sense to work together, and I've helped potential clients do it right on the Zoom call because it only takes like 15 minutes and it's so important for ads because it's a little tracking code provided by Meta. Meta's Facebook and Instagram, and you can retarget people that visit your site. So that's why I'm sure you've been on a site and then like a day later you start seeing ads. That's because of the metapixel. So even if you're not running ads, I would strongly recommend you have a metapixel because everyone that's visiting your site now, you can retarget them a year later with ads. I would only recommend not to have a metapixel if you never ever want to run ads. Then sure, you don't need one. But yeah, definitely this is very powerful because someone that's visited your website is probably much more ready to buy from you than a complete stranger. So it's much easier to first, when you're running ads, retarget people that have been on your site and maybe people that have engaged with you, been on your Instagram account, Facebook profile, Facebook page, and then you advertise to a completely cold audience. Okay, phase two, homepage optimization, 80-20 rule, like what I was mentioning. You see a little quick before and after. The screenshot glitched a bit, so it didn't look exactly like that, but this was the idea. Like it was just a stock photo, a bit of text, the menu, and probably most noticeable thing you can see here I changed is putting her. And that was a very conscious decision made by me because pretty much every business owner I work with, unless there's been a couple with like 10 employees, and so they're not the ones working directly with the clients, but in a lot of cases, I work with businesses where they're the ones directly interfacing with clients. And so their face on the homepage, on the about page, throughout the website is super important. If you look on my own website, clients work with me directly, although I do have some freelancers that help. They mainly interface with me, so it makes sense for me to be on the site. And it's almost like people that visit my site, any site of my clients, if it's relevant, they start to develop a relationship with us before we even talk. And with a therapist, I'd say that's even 10 times more important, right? Like, I'm just a marketer, web designer, and my face is like all throughout my website. With the therapist, I feel like it's even more important. So the thing is, a lot of business owners are more sort of conservative and they don't want to be front and center. But if you are self-employed, even if you have a couple employees, clients are working with you. They're buying because of you. So you need to leverage yourself. So that was big. This is probably the most significant difference. But also the logo, as you can see, I kept that nice, like it's a nice logo, but it wasn't really legible. So I added that elsewhere on the site. Some structural functional improvements. So this is the new footer. This is where I put that logo. As you can see, some little subtle things. Whenever I make, like, even though there wasn't too much changed on this site, everything I do, there's full intention behind it. Yeah, you can see the difference. And then compress the size. That's a huge thing. Some platforms, they automatically compress images, but some do not. And you could literally have a page load from taking 15 seconds to 3 to 5 seconds if you compress your images, which actually is huge because you don't want to start off on the wrong foot with people these days. They're used to speed. So definitely compress your images. Mobile responsiveness is arguably more important, but harder to do. Compressing images takes like, 10, 20 minutes, even if you have a lot of images, but mobile responsiveness can't really do it yourself. You need to hire someone, sadly. Making her Googleable. So she had a LinkedIn profile, but there was nothing on it. I changed her profile picture to a headshot, made her Facebook business page and Google business profile. We made this. So this wasn't coming up before. And even though she can't legally collect reviews from clients, that's what she told me, there are other benefits to a Google business profile. And this just looks a lot more professional, like just to see this come up now. The transformation of the couples counseling page was just adding some new content tailored specifically to couples, embedding the Calendly. So like the appointment, 30-minute couples consult, that's the goal of the offer, is to get people to book this, and then highlighted why people should trust Karen, not just why they should have couples therapy. So I always think about a business has to differentiate itself within its product and within the market. So within product means there are different products that can solve a problem. Like with me, I'm competing with a business that offers, let's assume, I haven't really done SEO in a while, even though this client I got from my own SEO. So I know SEO, but I don't really offer it as a service. So I'm competing with a business that exclusively does SEO, because if someone's like, okay, I want more clients, well, they could come to me to do ads, or they could go to that SEO person and get SEO and hopefully, get more clients that way. So you need to convince people your product is better. And then within that, you need to convince people that you are the best provider of that product. So that's differentiating yourself in the marketplace of that product. Then you need to prove to them, okay, now that I want couples therapy, why trust Karen with that? So those are always two sort of levers I turn on when discussing strategies with clients is, okay, we need to do both. Usually it's less about convincing people to choose your product, because it's really hard to convince someone. Like, it's much easier to find someone that's already convinced they need that thing and then show them why you are the best choice. But I do still try to mention a little about the why you should choose our product. So the next part, phase 3, the sales asset. So free couples therapy guide. So obviously not all visitors that land on the page are ready to book right away. So for those that aren't, little guide to couples counseling. And it's a key trust building tool for low and medium intent leads. So you can sort of imagine there are low, medium, and high intent leads. The high intent leads presumably are just going to book. The low and medium intent usually would just click away. The goal with this is to have them engage further. Still, most people will not, and that's why we have retargeting. That's why we have ads where you can retarget people. So the lesson here, I'd say, is you need to think about these low and medium intent people, which I find in my experience, a lot of business owners I work with, they are really, if they're doing Google ads or Meta ads, they're just thinking about the high intent people. They're just thinking, okay, I want people in the door today, but no business is built like that. Businesses are built over years of developing trust in your local marketplace and slowly converting a lot of these low and medium intent people into loyal customers. So you need to make sure your strategy incorporates a way to build trust with these low and medium intent people. One example that everyone's heard of is email newsletters, right? If everyone was high intent, you wouldn't need an email newsletter because everyone just books right away. But obviously email newsletters work because like every business does them, every big business, and tons of small businesses. And the reason they work is you stay top of mind and you build trust over time, ideally, if you're doing it properly, with these low and medium intent leads. And now when they're more ready to buy and they trust you more, now they've moved into high intent. And if you have some offer, they're going to buy right away. So you need to make sure your marketing strategy doesn't involve something for the low and medium intent leads. And that could be dozens of different options, like email newsletter is one option, retargeting ads is one, a sales asset like this is another, high quality content that people are exposed to online, that can be one. And the last one, I think, launching digital advertising campaigns. So one, thank you page. This is very, this isn't because it's not some human psychology reason, like to show Karen's face after they book and like, you know, reward people. It's not that. It's literally just for tracking, because what this does is it tracks a successful conversion, because like someone landing on the page before, so the actual landing page, that's not a successful conversion. Actually, they just visited the page. They haven't put in their information. Once they put in their information, now that's a successful conversion. And now that tells Meta, I said Facebook here, but I sort of interchangeably use them. That tells Meta and Google, this is a successful conversion. Find me more of these people. So a thank you page, and I'm sure you've been on thank you page even this month, like after buying something or just converting somehow, giving your information, that's to track you and to tell the platforms, we want more of these people, because for every maybe 50 people that land on a page, there's maybe one that converts. So you want less of those 50, more of that one. So this is sort of a basic fundamental that, again, a lot of small business owners don't have something like this when they set up an ad campaign. And it's not a game changer. You're just going to get worse conversions because you're not training the AI properly to show your ad to the right people. Facebook ads. There's a lot of text. There's different variations. This was, I think, the longest text variation we had. And there was a good amount of different ads. And I put this together for her. So I do the ad copy myself. Of course, I take, if you look at some of the books here, there's a good amount of books on copywriting. Half the books in general are on business. So I do that myself, but I make sure to personalize it to I have the client teach me a bit about their business. That's part of what's in the strategy call. And then I also send some questions afterwards. And so I make sure, like if I have 10 therapist clients, the ads I make for each one would be different, because literally every business is different. Everyone's story is different. Everyone's past clients are different. So you want to make sure ad copy is tailored to you. So I hate stock photos and I hate stock text. I sort of just made up the term stock text, but you get what I mean. If there's an ad that can be applied to dozens of businesses, like the text in the ad, I would never run it. I would only run content. So an image, no competitor of Karen's can use this image because it's her. So it's just crazy for them to use it. Similarly, same idea with text. So I want to, in the marketing, make sure it's things that only she can do or say. So that involves case studies, because someone can't copy that. Doesn't involve a mission statement, for example. I don't think those are that important at this level. Sure, when you're $1 billion company, yeah. But at the level of 1 to 10 to 20 employees, you want to really have your marketing just be real content of you and your business, real text, real images and videos, and real text that's unique to you. And that's case studies, that's a personal story, like how you got into it, for example, or context can be important, but case studies are really the most important thing you can write. That's literally what I'm doing right now, reading out a case study. Tested a good amount of images, so this one was a bit creative, and this one actually performed the best. So is her image with the Calendly calendar on top. I didn't just randomly think of doing this. This is a concept in marketing where you try and make the whole funnel. So when I say funnel, I mean like there's an ad people see, and then there's a landing page, and then there's a thank you page, and then there's retargeting. So it's sort of like, well, it's a funnel, right? So maybe 1 million people see the ad, and then 50,000 go to the landing page, and then 1,000 submit their information. So that's why it funnels like a funnel. And so to improve conversion rates from each step in the funnel, you want to make it as cohesive as possible. So you sort of pull elements from the future step in the funnel and bring it into the current step, right? So this calendar is on the homepage, but I just, screenshot it, put an image of it in the ad, and it performed significantly better. So a little hack, try and pull items from a future step in your funnel into your current step. And it's why every marketer knows this. If the ad and the landing page are fundamentally different, like if there's, let's imagine a worst case scenario, everything's different. The title of the offer, the image is used, the text, it looks like it's a completely different business. Conversion rate is terrible. The more coherent and cohesive, the better conversion rates. Some relevant audiences. I'm not gonna sort of blurred the interests. By the way, stuff like this is less important because of Meta's AI, especially, 2025. So you actually don't really need to do this. I just think you can squeeze out maybe a few percent of efficiency when you're running smaller campaigns. So if your ad budget's like in the tens of thousands, probably this is useless. But if it's in the thousands, I think you get to your ideal client quicker when you have more constraints. So just a little side note. Custom audiences, that's really important. So custom audience of website visitors, built that out. And then some people don't know this, but you need a privacy policy on your website to meet Meta platform requirements when you're running any form of lead ad, even if it's a message ad. So not just the lead form ad, but any form of collecting information, you need the privacy policy. So if it's just, a reach ad, so you're just showing the ad to people, or engagement, because you're not collecting information from anyone. So you don't need a privacy policy on your website. And we actually did some Google ads as well, but small numbers because our focus was on Facebook. And I do actually tell small business owners, even though I'm comfortable with both, I'm honest with them. I say you should probably focus on Facebook. Meta ads, because with Google ads, you're competing with billion-dollar businesses on the same keyword with no advantage to you. It's pure competition there, and they can afford to outbid you a lot. On Meta, it's really a game of getting attention, and you can do that with very niche offers or just building awareness, retargeting. You can't retarget with Google ads, and you can't have really niche offers on Google because no one is searching that up. So there are more problems with Google ads I won't get into now, but I would strongly recommend, if your budget is in the thousands a month, probably stick to Meta. And then, there's no hard and fast rule, but yeah, if you're spending 10,000 a month, I think there is 100% space for some Google ads in that. But I wouldn't, 10,000 a month on Google ads alone makes no sense. I think you should sort of start with Meta ads, and it doesn't have to be Meta. It could be TikTok, LinkedIn, just a social media ad. And then as you have a larger and larger budget, you can move more of it to Google ads. But yeah, with a few thousand a month, I would stick to Meta. Set up conversion tracking as well. So key outcomes. 1, discovered her ideal client, because we did some research, me with her competitors, and also me just, discussing with her and figuring out how much essentially she likes working with clients and how much she wants them, but also is the profit there. And different types of clients, they could be easier to work with and make you more money. And that way you can afford to spend more on the marketing, and you also do a better job, meaning you get a better case study, and that helps you with future clients. So it's sort of like a positive feedback loop. And it's why that's always step 1 is some research, strategy, discussion. What's the offer to who? Built awareness. So 37,000 people in and around Oakville saw these, an average of 1.58 times each. Built trust. That's hard to measure, but we did do a lot. Leads were 643 landing page views, 72 page likes, and then 8 couples consult books and 2 full-time clients for now. So that was like a month ago or 2 months ago. I actually have to reach out to her to see if she got more clients. But since this was her first attempt, not just with ads, but just building an online presence alone, she didn't even have a Facebook page before me. Yeah, she was doing a lot of things right, but just not online, right? And the hardest month with ads is the first month, because as you run ads more, you start to build awareness, like I said here. So now these 37,000 people, you run ads to them again, some will recognize you. And especially these 643 were pretty close to becoming these 8 couples consults. So when you keep running ads, this adds up. So yeah, and she gave a little testimonial. So if you're interested in working with me, I work best with businesses that are service-based. They provide their services locally, so they're not national or international. They're medium to high ticket, meaning a client is worth at least $3,000 to you over the span of a year, because these 3 actually, and the 4th one, are doing $10,000 in a month in revenue monthly. So the way I work with this more precise marketing funnel, like strategy, several ad campaigns, updating your site and online presence, creating the landing page, and then doing retargeting and making sure everything's integrated, works best if these are true, right? Service-based. E-commerce is a completely different ballgame. Same with national, international services. There are some businesses that do very high volume of clients and low revenue per client, and you have to do things differently there. So if this applies to you, just reach out to me wherever is most convenient to you or wherever you're seeing this, and we'll talk.